today our class is going to be on spring door wreaths using mimosa. So I will go through it all step by step exactly what we're going to do. So to get everybody started, I need you to start commenting underneath. Let us know who you are and where you're watching in from. And obviously we need to know what's the weather like around the country and around the world. And if you know somebody who's interested in flowers, why don't you tag their name below? And again, they'll get a notification that we're actually live. The other thing that I need people to do is click share. By you clicking share, this video will go live on your own page, or even if you happen to be in like a flower arranging club. So again, if you click share, share it into your flower arranging club, and again, it opens up the market. Now, okay, so what will you need for today's arrangement, okay? So this is a bunch of mimosa, and when you buy mimosa, you normally pay by the weight. You don't actually pay by the number of stems. So you could get 10 small stems in the bunch, and again, you could get 5 bigger stems in the bunch. Mimosa is in season at the moment. It is in season from December to April, but it peaks during February and March. So this is the best time of the year to buy it. It stores better if it's left in the plastic because it kind of likes that kind of damp, kind of clammy atmosphere. But again, you have to watch that it doesn't actually sweat inside the plastic. And it does have a special flower food, but if you haven't got the special flower food, normal flower food will do. But normally when you buy it, you get one of the sachets of flower food in the packet. So just to show you, like that's one stem, that's a second stem, that's a third stem, and that's a fourth stem. So in that particular packet, there was 4 stems. But the previous packets I've opened, I've had 6 stems and 8 stems, but an awful lot of them were a lot smaller than what I've taken out there.
Deborah said that she was wondering how we were going to make a wreath with cocktails.
Cocktails?
Mimosa.
Oh, mimosa. You caught me there, you caught me there. I was actually thinking cocktails, isn't it? What's it? Orange juice and Prosecco, isn't that what a mimosa is? So what I did when I was cutting it up, rather than kind of cutting all the side sprigs off, because you'd end up with quite a lot of small ones, okay, I kind of cut down into the centre and kind of cut like the chunkier pieces. So that was actually how I actually cut, there's a little side one there, that was how I actually cut the mimosa kind of down into the centre rather than cutting off the little individual ones. And in total for the wreath that I'm making today, but I'm making quite a big one, and I'm using a 14-inch frame, I used 3 bunches of mimosa. So again, if you want to be writing this down in case you want to copy it. But if you want to use a 12-inch frame, you would definitely get away with 2 bunches of mimosa because there is quite a lot in it. The next thing then that you need, so I'm just going to push these out of the way, is a bunch of eucalyptus, okay? So this is a typical bunch of eucalyptus that we would buy in from Wicklow Foliage Farm. So if any of the ladies are watching there, they might tag Wicklow Foliage Farm in the comments. Now obviously you can go into your local flower shop and garden centre and you can buy the eucalyptus off them as well. For the wreath I'm making today, I used nearly 2/3 of this bunch, okay? Now I probably would get away with a half a bunch, but I didn't skimp on it, so I kind of went about 2/3 of the bunch approximately. But again, if you were using a 12-inch frame, you definitely would get 2 wreaths made out of this bunch, you know, that way, and you could maybe even stretch it to get a little bit further. Now what I did, like with the eucalyptus, okay, I'm just going to cut a branch out to kind of give you an idea, because I have a lot of the preparation work done, just to save a little bit of time, okay? So we'll just kind of grab, so when it's say a stem like that was, I kind of cut down into the centre, and then I cut down into the centre, and then I threw that piece out. That went in the magic bin, by the way, it didn't go on the floor. And then, like with someone just looking for one that's a bit kind of more branchy looking, see like that one there. So with a branch like that then, I cut off some of the side pieces. And then kind of up the top, I kind of cut down into the centre like that and down into the centre. And again, even though that's quite chunky, I kind of went down into the centre again and I found that one was a bit ugly. So that went into the magic bin as well. So I've done a lot of this work kind of in advance. What I did was I just bunched a couple of pieces of the eucalyptus together. I got my sprigs of mimosa. This one is quite small. I just rested on top, bunched them all together in my hand. And then I got a roll of real wire. Now we call this real wire as in spelled R-E-E-L, but the majority of florists out there actually call it mossing wire. So you can call it either or either, it's the same. And all I'm going to do then with the mossing wire or the real wire, as you can see, I'm just wrapping it around the ends, cutting it off, and there is the typical bunch. Now I have about 34 bunches I think made here. I'm not going to use them all, but as I said, I wasn't skimping when I was cutting them up. So you can see, talk about all shapes and makes and sizes, you know, that way, there's no way they're all the same. So I'm just holding up a few of them that you can compare them. So it's just when you're doing this at home yourself, you'll be, well, some of you will be a little bit fussy and overthinking and trying to get all the pieces exactly the same. And then you look at my ones and you can see they're all higgity-piggity and they're all over the place. So over half a bunch of eucalyptus and 2 bunches of the mimosa is what I use. No, 3 bunches of the mimosa is what I use for today's spring wreath. Now for a base, I'm going to use a straw base, okay? And this is a recycled straw base, so you can kind of see it's a bit loose there. And what I mean by recycled is I already had a door wreath on it. So about, must be about 6 weeks ago, I did a door wreath here on the class where I used all mixed types of foliages, eucalyptus, ivy, pittosporum, laurel, used all types of whatever. And at the time people were saying to me, how long will it last? Well, I actually took it down there yesterday, and what I did was I pulled off all the old pieces of greenery. I was able to throw them then in the compost bin. I wasn't neat and tidy about pulling off all the little bits of wires. You can see that they're all there. And then some of the bits of wires kind of pulled off and the straw started to get a bit of loose. But listen, it'll be absolutely fine. So this is a recycled base that I've already used, and that's what I'm going to use for my door wreath. Now I bought these bases, so this is one that I had bought in already made up, and I bought that in from O'Neill's Flowers in Carlingford. So again, somebody might tag them, O'Neill's Flowers in Carlingford, and they have the straw bases. They're really cheap, they are, and they have them in every size from about 8 inches up to 24 inches, and this is the 14-inch base, which does make quite a big door wreath, by the way. Now, get your reel wire, attach it with your thumb by holding it with your thumb and wrapping it around the same spot 3 or 4 times. And when you're making this door wreath, you could make it on a moss frame, you could make it on a twig frame, you can use the straw frame I'm going to use today, but you could also use a recycled frame from Christmas. And it's
good quality. Somebody is watching in. I'm Morgan over in Birmingham. She tested positive for COVID.
Oh,
so she's
Jesus,
watching from her bed.
disaster. So what you do then is you rest your first bunch on, and to make these nice and big, now if you want to make it small, you don't have to let it stick out as much, but you see by letting it stick out from the frame, okay, that's what makes your wreath, you know, that little bit larger. So then you pick up your second bunch, okay, and you just barely overlap them. You kind of have them like just tipping each other. Don't overlap it completely, but then don't leave a big space in between it. You see how silly that looks? So just have them that they're just barely tipping off each other. Now, this is the way I like to do them. Do you know that way? And I normally put in 3 pieces first, okay? So there's my second one, and then here's my third one. I'm going to use one with a little bit more mimosa on it for the outsides there. That's big. So there's 3 pieces, okay? 3 bunches. And then what I'm going to do with my 4th bunch is I'm going to bring it, you see, down in underneath them. And again, it's a way of making the wreath look larger, but it also covers my mechanics down here. I could have brought them in closer on the frame, but this is what I like to do. So I'm now going to add in my 4th bunch kind of down low. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll be going around the outside, adding in bunches, you know what I mean, on that 45-degree angle. And then ever so often I'll add in another bunch to the inside. Now, if anybody has any questions at all, obviously work away there.
Okay. So
Mimosa is the meaning of mimosa is friendship, you know that way. So if you have got any friends, you know that way, it is a nice flower to kind of like give to them. But you know, somebody mentioned there about the 8th of March. So 8th of March is going to be International Women's Day. And the International Women's Day, you don't have to be a mother, Women's Day, is the 8th of March. And as I said, it's international. And the very first year that they had International Women's Day, or how it came about, this is a little bit of history for you. After World War II, do you remember World War II, Deirdre?
Oh, yeah.
After World War II, 1946, okay, that was when they had the first International Women's Day. And another meaning of mimosa is strength, okay? So it became a tradition. So you write all this down. If this ever comes up in a pub quiz, you're going to thank me, or you'll win a fortune, you will. So in 1946, they decided that the 8th of March was going to be International Women's Day. They decided that as a flower, they were going to, you know, use mimosa. Mimosa signifying friendship and strength, and it was the strength of the women during World War II, because we kept the country going, didn't we?
We did.
Absolutely. Me and Deirdre, we kept the country going, while all the men were off fighting in the war or whatever. We were there. What were we doing?
Feeding them.
Digging potatoes, planting cabbages, you name it, feeding the pigs, that we got lots of bacon, and we kept the world, not just Ireland, we kept the world going, we did. Anyway, it's now still our. So now it's tradition that for International Women's Day, that you present women with a bunch of mimosa. Okay, so everybody write that down in your book. Gorgeous. Can you imagine? It's fabulous.
It's huge.
And normally I do measure it to the last, but believe it or not, I'm going to be 3 bunches short, I'd say. So you're going to have to bear with me while I wire up my 3 bunches and get myself kind of organised. Here I am, back to my door wreath, so I'm adding in. Now when you get near the end, I'll point it out to you kind of like when I kind of get to it. But as I get near the end, I do have to watch the beginning bunches, okay, these ones, okay, and I need to be able to tuck my last lot of bunches kind of in underneath it. So say if I, oh, you're not going to, there we go.
I haven't got any wires.
Grand, no bother at all. So we get these made. Now again, we'll do the competition,
yeah,
okay?
Go on, do the competition, because I can't see anything there at the moment.
Okay, I have 2 questions. Shall we put the 2 questions up?
Go on.
You only have to answer one of them, okay? So the first question is, what was the year they decided to do? When was the very, very first International Women's Day? So see, can you remember? And even if I'm wrong, we're going by the year I mentioned, okay? In case somebody comes back to me and says, Janette, you're wrong, okay? We're going by the year because that was the year I remembered. And the other question is, where are we heading to at the weekend? Where are we going to be on Saturday for the event?
Both answers.
Yeah. Did you have to give both answers?
I think so.
I was only going to say one answer. Sure, whatever. Go on. You see, whatever you do. Again, she gets over there. She'll be after forgetting what she told you. You know that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick 3 random winners.
We're going to do it today.
Yeah, we'll do it today. Okay. So comment underneath there.
No pressure.
We'll pick 3 random winners, and they're going to win the door wreath. Okay, the door wreath course. Okay, so what I did there, as you can see, I tucked in that last piece of foliage, okay? And when you're bringing your wire around, what you want to make sure that you don't just do that because you'll flatten everything down.
Enough there now,
so again, yeah, we've loads here. So what we do is we do kind of like a wiggle and wangle, you know, the way in and out through it there, just to kind of catch them last pieces. So now I just have to bunch these up there. So I only need the one more. So keep commenting underneath there. We mightn't pick it this minute, but we'll pick it later on, will we, to give the ones watching on a replay a chance, okay? So comment underneath, what year was the very first International Women's Day? How are we going there so far? Okay. Gorgeous, so I think I used 3 bunches extra, so 37 bunches, okay, is what I needed. I actually thought I had loads in the 34, but it just shows you, you know, that way. And as I said, this is a 14-inch frame. So that's our frame. You can see then how much extra I come out on either side. So what I'm now going to do with the real wire at the back is I'm going to cut off the wire, and then the little bit of wire that's left over, I'm making like a U shape, like a U bend, and I'm just going to tuck it back into the straw and flatten it there. Just have a look. Oh yeah, that is gorgeous. If I say so myself, that is absolutely gorgeous. So there is our Mimosa Door Wreath. So then the last thing then is if you want to tie like a ribbon onto it so you can hang it out your knockers, okay? So what you can do is cut a length of ribbon. This is just organza, but to be honest, like any fabric will do, or any material or any ribbon will do. I'm going to tuck it around the straw base, but kind of like tuck it in underneath the flowers and the foliage. So I'm just kind of pressing it here with my finger in underneath it. So when it came around the base, you can see the way it hasn't hidden anything in the front. And then just get my 2 lengths, the same length, and I'm going to tie a double knot. That's just, a single knot. Single knot's fine. You can tie a double knot if you want to. So there's my strings then, and then I can tie it onto the door knocker or your doorknob when you go home. So hope you enjoy that. Hopefully you'll be able to put it in practice. Anybody that does make up a spring door wreath over the next few days, make sure that you go over and post it in the Flowery Fun group. And as I said, we're going to pick 3 winners out of today's comments, and we'll probably leave it till this evening. We always find on Facebook we get a lot of people watch this on the replay, you know, that way, where they're working during the day. They're not like you sitting at home or Skyping from work watching it. And thanks a million everybody for joining in. Hope you enjoyed the class. If you're watching on the replay, comment, and again, you can always still take part in the giveaway as well.